Behind the masks, the lights, and the cheers, many Mexican wrestlers have faced battles even harder than what happens inside the ring. Shocker was one of the brightest stars of Mexican wrestling. Known as 1000% guapo or 1000% handsome, he became a phenomenon in CMLL during the early 2000s. His charisma, unforgettable rivalries, and flashy style made him a main eventer in Arena Mexico, and his fame even crossed borders when he represented Mexico in TNA wrestling. But while his career shined inside the ring, outside of it, things became darker. In Oaxaca, Shocker was arrested after destroying a hotel room while being intoxicated. The scandal made national headlines, hurting the image of a wrestler that was once a household name. Later, in Tuxtla Gutierrez, Chiapas, things escalated. Shocker was arrested again for disturbing the peace. Once inside his jail cell, reports say he stripped down and began hurting himself, leaving authorities shocked and raising alarms about his mental and emotional state. Even after receiving support from friends and colleagues, including boxing legend Julio Cesar Chavez, who offered him treatment in his rehab clinic, Shocker went back to the same scandals. In his own words, he doesn't see it as a problem. He claims he simply enjoys using drugs and doesn't want to change. This raises a tough question. Does this erase his legacy inside the ring, or can fans still separate the man from the scandals? Cuatrero, a second-generation luchador and member of Los Dinamita, was once considered one of the top rising stars of CMLL and AAA. With talent, family legacy, and charisma, his career seemed destined for greatness. But everything changed in early 2023 when Chilean wrestler Stephanie Vaquer, who also wrestles in CMLL and New Japan Pro Wrestling, publicly accused Cuatrero of domestic violence. The accusations quickly escalated into legal action, leading to his arrest. The case shook the lucha libre world. Fans who once cheered him began questioning their support. CMLL immediately distanced themselves from Cuatrero, suspending him indefinitely while the legal process continued. The incident didn't just damage his career. It also created a ripple effect for his entire wrestling family, one of the most respected dynasties in Mexico. What once looked like a promising future is now a career overshadowed by scandal. Pentagoncito, part of the iconic Mexican Mini Estrellas division, was a wrestler who brought excitement and charisma to the ring despite his small stature. But outside of it, he fell into one of the darkest scandals in lucha libre. In 2010, Pentagoncito was arrested in Mexico City for alleged involvement in child exploitation. The case shocked fans, wrestlers, and promoters alike. While Mexican wrestling is full of colorful characters and sometimes exaggerated drama, this was something much more serious. A real crime that crossed a line no fan ever imagined. After the arrest, his career was essentially over. Wrestling companies cut all ties with him, and his name was erased from the scene. Unlike other scandals where wrestlers sometimes recover or return after rehab, Pentagoncito's actions left a permanent stain on the world of lucha libre. His case remains as a harsh reminder that behind the masks, not every story is about glory. Some are about the darkest sides of human behavior. Cain Velasquez is a legend in combat sports. Former UFC heavyweight champion, he later transitioned into professional wrestling, joining AAA and later WWE, where his crossover brought mainstream attention to lucha libre. But in 2022, the world was stunned by the news of Cain's arrest. He was charged with attempted murder in California after chasing and shooting at a man who had allegedly abused a relative of his. The story divided public opinion. Some called Cain a criminal, while others saw him as a desperate father figure seeking justice when the system failed. Cain spent months in jail while awaiting trial, with both MMA and wrestling communities showing support. Big names like Dana White, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and Rey Mysterio publicly asked for his release, arguing that Cain was a good man who acted out of rage in a moment of pain. Eventually, Cain was released on bail, but his case is still a heavy cloud over his career. What should have been a celebrated retirement in wrestling became a legal nightmare that could define his legacy. Jesus Luna Pozos, better known as Charly Manson, became an unforgettable figure in lucha libre thanks to his gothic style, his toughness in the ring, and his legendary rivalries in AAA, alongside Cybernetico, Chessman, and Escoria. Inspired by the shock rock aesthetic of Marilyn Manson, he built a dark, rebellious persona that marked an entire generation of fans. But in 2011, his life took a drastic turn. After reporting his car stolen, while intoxicated, Charly ended up in a violent altercation with Mexico City police officers. He used his own wrestling moves against them, even applying his infamous sleeper hold, the Dormilona. 2 officers suffered serious facial fractures, and the incident landed him in the Reclusorio Sur prison, where he spent 4 years behind bars. Inside prison, respect wasn't given. It had to be earned. On his first day, another inmate tried to steal his watch. Charlie fought back with the same holds that made him famous in the ring. Over time, he carved out a place for himself, organizing a lucha libre classes and tournaments that gave him a sense of purpose behind bars. When he was released in 2015, he returned to the ring under a new name, Charlie Rockstar. He found success in CMLL, teaming again with Cybernetico and El Zorro. But the scars of prison and his near-death experiences, like a brutal femur for fracture that required doctors to revive him with a defibrillator, showed that his story has always been a battle, both inside and outside the ring. From Shocker's struggles with addiction, Cuatrero's accusations of violence, Pentagoncito's unforgivable scandal, to Cain Velasquez's shocking case, these stories remind us that wrestling heroes are still human. So the question is, can fans truly separate the wrestler from the person? Or will these scandals forever overshadow their legacies inside the ring? Thanks for watching this deep dive into the darker side of Lucha Libre. These stories are tough, but they're part of the reality behind the masks. What do you think? Should the legacy of a wrestler be judged only by what happens inside the ring, or do their personal actions weigh just as much? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the next chapter of Wrestling Libre.